Welcome. This week's talk, it's a wild ride. But first, there's an atheist in a boat. He's fishing. And all of a sudden, the Loch Ness Monster comes up and knocks his boat into the air and opens his mouth really wide. And the atheist goes, "God, help me." And the whole scene freezes. And God goes, "Now? Why now? You've never believed in me before." And the guy goes, "Give me a break. A minute before I didn't believe in the Loch Ness Monster." A wild ride. So, I'm going to tell you about our vacation. My wife and I just went away on a 3-day vacation for our anniversary. We went up to Big Bear Mountain. Now, we'd been planning this trip for months, treating for it to be this incredible trip, and taking care of all the details to make sure that it would be. Like, for instance, one of the things that was really important to me was that there was a hot tub. And something that was important to my wife was the fireplace. And the third thing was the view. These were the 3 biggies. And we found the right cabin. And I called the day before and spoke to maintenance and said, "I want to make sure that the hot tub is clean. Because that's really important to us, that we have a really clean hot tub when we get up there." Lady said, "I am the manager of maintenance. I will not only call the vendor to make sure they get out there to clean it, but I will make sure that I go out there and check it myself to make sure that it's ready for you guys when you arrive." I said, "Thank you. We got this covered now." So we get up there. And one of the things I was going to do was put a picture up there of the hot tub, but I didn't want to leave you with that image. The water was green. There was purple mold. And there was red rust. This thing had not been touched. Now, my initial reaction was not very science of mind. And I was about to get on the phone and call these people and give them a piece of my not-so-science of mind when my wife goes, "We should treat first." Ashley's, she was right there. She says, "Wait a minute. We get to know the truth now, because to abandon the truth in our hour of need is to not understand the truth." And this was certainly an hour of need. It was a good time in the midst of things to treat. Thank God I had my wife with me. Boom, treated first. So I get on the phone in a whole different space when I call them up and go, "This is unsatisfactory. Can I send you a picture of what this looks like?" The lady goes, "No need. Why don't we upgrade you to a new cabin?" So we go down to the office. They show us this new cabin. It looks stunningly gorgeous. The view's even better than the place we were in. We get up to the cabin, and they said this place had not been open for 10 days, so there may be a little musky smell when you first walk in. And sure enough, we walk into a place that really stunk. And the guy that was there said it was because the pilot had blown out, and he was going to light it and get the gas fireplace going for us so it was nice and toasty. Meantime, we open up all the windows. I go check the hot tub. It is pristine, and the view is stunning. The sun is beginning to set. We are in heaven. We go out to dinner. We have a fantastic dinner. Now, we had our anniversary our honeymoon in Rome. So we like and went to Tuscany. We were all through Italy. And so one of the things we like to do is have an Italian meal at a really good Italian place for our anniversary. And sure enough, we found a fantastic place in town. We get back from that. We hot tub it. We have a fantastic night. We wake up the next morning, and the place is reeking of gas. So I'm about, once again, to get on the phone. And my wife is, "Let's treat first." So we treat first, and then I call them and say, "We have a gas leak here." And they're like, "Oh, we'll send somebody out right away, and we'll take care of that for you." 2 hours later, somebody finally shows up. During that 2 hours, my wife has grabbed me at least 3 times and said, "We need to treat again." I can tell that we need to treat again. Me being the spiritual guy I am, it was really great having a wife who is in prac class so that she is solid with the fact. For those of you that don't know what practitioner training is, it is the highest training we have here before ministerial school. And she is in the midst of all that, so it was really quick for her to go, okay, we need to treat again. So the person comes out, he finds the leak. I mean, he notices that there is a leak, but actually does not find it. And so he wants to just get somebody, and he's saying, we don't know what it'll take to actually get this fixed. So I come up with the idea, how about you just show me how to turn off the gas, and when we want the fireplace on, I'll turn on the gas, and I'll light it up, and I'll get it going, and we'll have all the windows open so we can have the fireplace going, and then when we're not using it, I'll just shut off the gas. And he goes, that's awfully inconvenient. And I say, it's better than dead. So we get it. So he goes, okay. And so he shows me how to get the thing going, how to turn off the gas, how to do all that. We get all that. We go out to another magnificent meal, another magnificent evening with each other. And what I started to realize through all this is that we are staying in principle even when the outside circumstances are not working out. We come back from dinner and the place stinks again. And the gas is off. I call up the office again after treating. And they say the only thing they can do is tell us to keep the windows open. It's 34 degrees outside. They want us to keep the windows open. So we wake up our last morning being up there. Oh, I forgot this part. One of the things that my wife was really good at is, making sure she pampers on vacation. So she went and got herself a massage. She went and got her nails done, a pedicure, and all this stuff. And I'm sitting there going, I need to do, stuff for me too. I came up with a couple of things, took care of myself as well. That night, we get back, and after hot tubbing, she says the guy worked on her shoulder a little too much. It's killing her. And so I'm thinking my night is ruined. And all of a sudden I'm thinking, no, I better not think that. What I want to think is that this is going to work out just fine. And the next thing my wife says is, as I'm having this thought, thanks to my wife constantly telling me to remember to be in principle. And so here I am being in principle in this moment where it's looking like, she goes, why don't you wrap around me so you can hold that shoulder in just the right place, and I think that'll work for us to go to sleep together. And that was beautiful. So what does all this mean when it comes? It's when we're in the midst of this stuff. I started thinking back to what I wanted out of this vacation. And what I wanted was a deeper connection with my wife. That's what I wanted. I wanted rest, relaxation, a gorgeous view to stare out at, and just quality time with my wife. So we have all these circumstances happen that actually kept bringing us closer and closer and closer the whole time we were up there. I know for myself, given who I was 10 years ago, that would have not been the case. I would have gotten more upset, more separate, more isolated, more deeper in myself. That's what would have happened before Science of Mind. But because of this teaching, I was able to constantly bring myself back. And because of my wife reminding me of this teaching, constantly bring myself back and back and back so that our actual experience was one of being close through all of it. We got to the point where we just thought that it was ridiculous. We were just laughing together. And we came back, and I realized when we got home that a lot of what I wanted out of that vacation actually had occurred. Now, am I ever going to use that rental agency again? Not a chance. But I didn't let it destroy what I would have easily let destroy 10 years ago. And so we got to get closer. It's how we use this stuff in the midst of the ride that makes all the difference. Too many folks in this teaching would be sitting around going, how did I create it that way? Why didn't it work out? What did I do wrong? Or, and think themselves not good enough, unworthy, and all the things we go into. These teachings can get us to a place of only looking at the physical demonstrations and thinking that that's what matters. What matters is our experience of those physical demonstrations. How are we experiencing them? I have many times in my life been with somebody who talked about cancer as a blessing. How did they get there? Not by having the cancer not show up. They got there because somehow their experience of it raised them to a place of appreciating life more than they ever thought was possible. They got there through applying the principles of these teachings on the deepest of levels, having nothing to do with the demonstration, only to do with their experience of it. That's what's really possible here. Now, I will say, you get to have demonstrations that really work out. We did have a gorgeous view. We did have a great hot tub. And the fireplace, once I got it going, worked fantastically. We had amazing dinners. We had a wonderful walk through town. The weather was stunningly perfect. So all those things were true too. So it isn't that through these teachings you don't get to have demonstrations. It's that for most of us, I know for me personally, I would have missed many of those demonstrations 10 years ago, being who I was then, before these teachings really kicked in and allowed me to rise to a place of where I get to see life the way it was, and lucky enough to have, and created a wife who reminds me of that all the time. That's why coming together in community is so important. We need these reminders as often as we can get them. You may notice that in your own life, that stuff comes up and you forget. No? It's in the forgetting that we are then creating what happens next. It's in the remembering that we are then creating what happens next. That's the power of these teachings, is how they can move us forward. So one of my favorite people to listen to is a guy named Joel Osteen. And he is a Bible thumper. So I don't normally listen to the end of his talks when he starts getting into that. But he tells these amazing stories. And one of them really struck me. His wife, Victoria, had lost a ring that had been in the family for generations. And Victoria immediately went into gratitude around finding it. That's what she did, immediately. Thank you, God, for having found this ring. Thank you, God, for having found this ring. Thank you for having found this ring. It's where she went. They tore the house apart. They picked out all the furniture. They looked everywhere they could think of, in the car, in the church, and they got a big church. They looked everywhere they couldn't find the ring. Victoria stayed in that place of, thank you, God, for finding this ring. Thank you. And to the point where Joel himself was like, what are you doing? Forget it. It's lost. 3 years later, they're driving down a country road, and Victoria keeps saying to Joel, slow down, you're going too fast. And he's like, I'm not going too fast. I'm 5 miles over the speed limit. Stop bugging me. And Victoria keeps going, slow down, you're going too fast. Joel's like, no, I'm not. He got real rebellious. Kept going at 5 miles over the speed limit, right up to the point in which he saw the light flashing behind him, pulled him over, looked over at his wife and said, you did that. A policeman comes over, rolls down the window and asks for the registration and the insurance, so Victoria starts digging through the glove box. And they can't find it. They find it one the year before and the year after. Finally, reaches all the way into the back, and round piece of metal hits her. And she pulls it out, and it's her ring. He said that she was praying up to gratitude up to 500 times a day sometimes. Never gave up after 3 years. Never gave up. Never stopped her saying her gratitudes for finding it after 3 years. Never gave up. That's what's possible when we hang in there and know, which is part of our teaching, perfect and right time. So now Joel's sitting there going, oh, great, you found your ring, but I'm about to get a ticket. Victoria's just like, grace of God, grace of God. And so the guy looks at him and goes, you're Joel Osteen. And he goes, yes, I am. Thinking this was going to help him get out of it, being a big star, because he's a big television star. The guy goes, I know your dad. And he helped me. He helped my dad. So I'm just going to let you go this time. Slow down. It's miraculous what can happen when we stay inside these teachings. It's just miraculous when we can continually remind ourselves. And it comes at the perfect and right time. We're not the ones who get to decide, but we are the ones who get to stay in that space. That beautiful, beautiful space of knowing that God is all there is. And because God is all there is, we must be that God. And as such, we get to declare what it is that's true for us. And then in the gratitude of that, of knowing that because any God that can create the heavens and the stars can certainly handle anything that we have now declared is so for our lives, must be so, having gratitude for that, it's already done, and then letting it go because there is a greater power than us handling these things. That's what's possible in every moment of our lives. That's what's possible for us to rise up, to be more than who we think we are, to be something greater. That's what's possible when we actually study these teachings, take these teachings, and put them to work. That's why Reverend Trish every week is talking about taking classes, because it's the people who are taking those classes who are having these miracles. We have people here that have extraordinary lives, who are reaching for the stars. Because even if you reach for the moon, you're up among the stars. Kind of said that backwards there. But you get the point, right? Reach for the moon, you're up among the stars. That's what's possible. That's what's here for you. That's what I hold for you every day. Join me on this journey. Play with all of us here who know and live in the divine. The more you remember, the more you get to have. The more you get to grow, the more you get to experience the miraculous. It's right here for you. Thank you. All right, take out what you're going to give. Take it out. Don't crumble it up. Open it up and hold it in your hand. Because holding it in your hand, knowing this is the force, this is what you're giving forth, this is what makes the power begin to flow in your life when you hold everything that you put forth into the world as knowing it as God too. You put this forth into the world, knowing this as your unique force of God going out, and that's why it returns to you multiplied abundantly. Because this is the force of God through you as you, right here and right now. Let's say this together. God is the source of all supply. Money is God in action. What we give, we receive multiplied abundantly. All that God is, I am.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God.
Tu es l'image de Dieu.
I hold you